individual, we were on our support group. Her husband is positive. He is symptomatic, but not too far along. And they really haven't talked about end of life decisions together. So she wanted to kind of know about what should she talk about end of life, anything from advanced directives or his wishes. I think, Katrina, if we could bring you in this a little bit with your end of life care extensive experience. And also, what do you need lawyers?
I think first, this is a fabulous question, and I'm so glad you're asking it early and not later. Second, the fact that you're thinking about it, you're on the right track because it is a process. You do have to start thinking about these things early on. They are hard conversations, just as most conversations with HD are. And two, opening the discussion. The fact that you're having a discussion is key to most of these things. The other paper documentation, legal aspect of things are sort of the end result that we want to get to, but opening the conversation is best. It is sometimes hard to do, for sure. It is not something that you want to open up right before a wedding or, some fabulous vacation or anything. But you also don't have to have the whole conversation and make all these big, huge, lifelong decisions at one sitting. It's just about starting the conversation. So sometimes people will utilize, like if they've been watching a movie or a TV show or something that brings up end of life issues like feeding tubes or someone on a ventilator for the rest of their life or different things, you can ask like, hey, have you ever thought about what you would want? Like if you got in that situation, would you want everything done for you, or would you want nothing done for you, or would you want something, some variety in between? So having that conversation and then you have some knowledge right there. Then you can bring it back up another time when there's another opportunity, or maybe you do sit down and say, hey, as a family, we're going to sit down and have some of these discussions about what all of us would or wouldn't want in certain scenarios. You don't have to use all scary scenarios. You can use fun ones if you want. Where would you want to go on vacation if we all went on vacation one last time together, and, start that way. But then, bring in some other more important things like people's wishes about pain tolerance, supportive measures at the true end of life, feeding tubes, hydration, there's tubes down your throat to help you breathe and things of that nature. You also want to know what people feel like as far as placement. It's not most families, whether it's Huntington's or not, cannot keep a loved one at home until death. It's really, really difficult, and it takes a lot of emotional resources. It also takes a lot of financial resources. So that may not be realistic. So don't make promises that you can't keep, but just always tell your person, we will love you and we will do everything we can to uphold your wishes in every possible scenario. So that's key. Don't make promises you can't keep. The thing that people usually forget to talk about is what kind of supportive measures does someone want? Like what kind of death does someone want to have in a perfect scenario? Of course, none of us can predict that, but do they like music? Do they want music surrounded? Are they someone that wants family to be around them and holding their hand and talking about all the fun times and memories that they shared together? Do they rather be alone? Are they someone that's spiritual? Do they want a chaplain or other faith-based community members involved in their end-of-life sort of supportive care? You want to know sort of all these things for your family members. And again, these are not questions that are going to be asked at 6 o'clock on Tuesday and resolved at 7 o'clock that same Tuesday. These are, just like Huntington's is a journey, these are questions that can evolve and change as the journey goes on. Someone might be very adamant at 18 that they never want a feeding tube or they never want to be on a ventilator, and then they go through the process of life, and now here they are, in their 50s or 60s, and maybe now they're like, you know what, I still have quality of life, and just because I can't swallow and eat food, I actually do want a feeding tube. So it's okay to change your mind. Decisions that are made today are not written in stone. And then, yes, there's advanced directives and things like 5 wishes, physician order for life-sustaining measure, POLST, you may have heard. Those are the things that document what people want at the end stages of life, but this is a conversation that should definitely start early. Lawyers are not necessary. You can bring them in if you want. So if you want to do something that's more legal in nature and put together a living will, which talks about your finances as well as your personal wishes at the end of life, you totally can do that. It is not 100% necessary. You may experience some conflicts during this time. Like it may be that your loved ones want some things that you don't think they should do or you don't like, but those are conversations that you just sort of need to take a deep breath. And like, I'm hearing what you say, I'm concerned about it because of this, this, and that, and sort of hash that out. Just because you wouldn't want that doesn't mean that your loved one can't have that. It's about supporting them through whatever your wishes. And your wishes can be different. Husband and wife wishes could be different. Siblings, it doesn't matter. Children, things. Katrina, what do you have to add?
So everything you said is just spot on. I think that a very good point is that everyone's going to die. We're all going to die. Fear not. And to make that a subject of conversation that like, hey, when I die, I see myself being cremated. And would that be okay with you? How do you feel about that? Do you want to be cremated as well? Let's have this conversation unrelated to Huntington's, just as two humans having a conversation. Lawyers are important when it comes to things like properties, finances, things like that, obviously, especially if you're a single person and not married where it's kind of a joint ownership. That being said, people in my family, we don't own, we don't have those worries. You know, the money that, you know, my brother has, it's not a savings. It's what he gets monthly from Social Security. And so there isn't a huge concern there. What we did take a big look at and we really took advantage of was 5 wishes. And you can find this paperwork either through your doctor or your social worker or what have you. You can also find it, I think it's 5wishes.org, very simple. And it's a legal document. As long as it is signed and witnessed, it is a legal document. And it goes over things about what you want. And you can add in things like, when I'm unable to speak and talk, I don't want my feet tucked in under the covers, or I want them tucked in under the covers. I want it to be somewhere around 80 degrees. You know, the things that you think are going to matter when you can't speak anymore. In my personal opinion, it's all about quality, you know, quality of life. I'm not trying to live the longest. I'm just trying to live my best life. And so just kind of going over those different things that can really impact the quality of your life or the quantity. If you want to live the longest you can live for whatever reason that is, you can write that down. And this really helps in family situations when there are different opinions. When you have large families, especially large HD families, when, oh, Uncle so-and-so did this, but Aunt so-and-so did this, Mom wanted that, but Dad wanted that, you know, whatever it is, it's not going to be the same. No matter what, you're going to have different feelings and opinions on your own care and your own life and your own death. So just to take advantage of that, the 5 wishes is extremely important. The earlier, the better you can have conversations. I mean, if you are with someone who is not symptomatic at all, just, you know, the conversation can be had, like I said, with 2 humans about life and death, and you can both fill one out and make it so much more normalized. So again, I do have a lot of experience being a caregiver and managing a care home with, you know, end of life and things like that. So if anyone ever has questions or just wants some extra support or just that rooting on of like, you got this, you can do this, I'm in your corner, and you can reach out to me as well.